you've learned all about noun endings for first and second declension nouns. We're going to now learn about first and second declension adjectives. The good news is that you already know the endings because they're exactly the same as first and second declension nouns. So in the Latin dictionary, you'll see up to 3 words listed for each adjective. You know how you see 2 for the nouns, the first one being nominative singular, the second one being genitive singular. In a Latin dictionary for adjectives here, you'll see up to 3 listed. The first one is always masculine nominative singular. The second one is always feminine nominative singular. And the third one is always neuter nominative singular. The same thing goes for here. And you'll see that what they have is they have us, which matches here, a, which matches here, and which matches neuter singular. Sometimes you'll see with an r instead, but that's the only weird ones that you ever see an r is in the masculine nominatives. So they'll always be listed in the order masculine, feminine, neuter. So open your chart book to the adjective section and fill out the top charts where it says first and second declension 212 adjectives. Note that the chart on your left right here those are the singular forms and these are the plural forms. Take a minute to do that and pause and then come right back. So we call this set of adjectives 212. You see how it says 212? That's because the masculine forms take the second declension adjectives, the feminine forms take the first declension endings, and the neuter take the second declension endings. That's the only reason they're called 212. Nothing special about that. So an adjective is a word that modifies a noun. Okay? This is what need you to remember. It only modifies a noun. And it answers the question, which one, what kind, how many. So if I said the youngest brother ate 3 red apples. I've got 3 adjectives in here. This one answers the question, which brother? And brother is a noun, so it modifies brother. If I said 3 modifies what? Apples. And it tells us how many. If I said red, it also modifies or describes, that's another word for modifies, apples, and it tells us which or what kind of apples. I could say, you also say which apples, the red ones, right? Or what kind of apples? Well, they're red apples. So in English, the adjective comes before the noun it modifies. Like 3 red, it comes before apples. Youngest comes before brother. That helps us to understand which word the adjective is describing. But in Latin, the adjective usually is right after the noun it belongs with. Just like if you understand Spanish. Not always. So in real Latin, you can find the adjective anywhere in the sentence. I'm not going to do that to you now, but know that that's possible. So the question is, how do you figure out what word the adjectives belong to? The reason you can know is adjectives match the nouns they modify in gender, case, and number. Note that I didn't say they match them in endings because you remember the pain words? They are first declension masculine words. So their endings of the adjectives that modify them are going to have masculine second declension endings. And we'll work on it. This is why they're a pain. Not because you had to memorize 4 of them, but because they're a pain of how they behave with adjectives. And now we come to that part. So what I'm going to do is we're going to work through some examples so that you get very familiar with it. One thing I want to point out to you, back up here. I'm going to erase this so it becomes really clear to us. So I want to take a look at these again. So do you see how bonus, bona, bona? Remember the first one's masculine, the second one's feminine, third one is neuter nominative. They're all nominative singulars. How you find the stem. So remember how you find the verb stem for present, imperfect, and future verbs is you go to the second principal part, take off the RE. How do you find the stem of nouns? You go to the second case listed, either here, right, or in the dictionary. It's the second case listed. That's the genitive. And you remove the ending, and that's the stem. Guess what? You have a number 2, so this should be easy for you to remember. To find the adjective stem, you go to the feminine, which is also the second case listed. which is interesting, or the second entry listed. So you go to bona, you take off the ending, and if you're never sure what the ending is, go down here to the feminine. It'll tell you what the ending is. It's an A. So we go here, we take off the A, and our stem is B-O-N, and then we can add any ending that we want. Now, I seriously could go here to the nominative and take off the U-S. Well, I get the same stem. That's fine, but here's why you don't want to do that. You always want to go to the feminine, because look at here. These two would give you very different stems. If I took off the A here, I'd get P-U-L-C-H-R. If I took off the R for this one, I'd get a stem which is P-U-L-C-H-E, which is not the stem. So get in the habit of going to the second word listed, which is the feminine nominative singular, and find your stem from that. Do that now, and that'll prevent you from getting in trouble later. Okay, so let's go down here and take a look. Now, good town. Here's my suggestion. Translate the verb first, because that'll tell you what gender it is. It'll tell you anything else that you need to know. It'll also tell you whether it's singular or feminine. Singular or plural. So town. I happen to know that town is neuter. Write an N right on top of there. Anything to help you. It's nominative and it's singular. So it's neuter. I happen to know that the nominative form of town is oppidum. And then I'm going to put the adjective afterwards. I know that good, or you can look it up, is bonus, bona, bonum. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the feminine. I'm going to take off the ending. I'm going to put B-O-N. Now I'm going to go find it in my charts if I don't have them memorized, and I'm going to find the neuter nominative singular ending, which happens to be bonum. Well, guess what? If I remembered that this was masculine singular, feminine singular, and neuter singular, and I already knew that I asked for the nominative singular, I could just get it right here. So shortcut if you need it. All right, let's do the next one. Next one is pious boy. So I want the genitive. I know it's singular. I also know it's masculine because boys are always masculine in Latin. So genitive, so I know that the form, I'm going to go form my noun based on how I know how to form nouns. You guys have been doing it for a while now, so you should be getting a little faster. And now the genitive version of pious. So pius, pia, pium. You can look it up if you need to. Go to the feminine, take off the ending. I know it's P-I. And the genitive masculine, second declension ending, is another I. P-E. Okay. All right, next one. Bronze shields. Right away, I know that shield is neuter. I know that that means it's second declension neuter. I know that it's plural, and I need it in the dative form. So scutum is the word for shield, but I need to put a dative ending on it. So it's scoot is. And bronze, it's Aeneus. Whoops, let me do an E here. I'm writing ahead of myself. Aenea and Aeneum. Whoops, E-U-M. Okay, go to the second one, take off that. I get A-E-N-E, and I happen to know that dative, neuter, plural is I-S. So far, do you see how these have matched? And most of the time in these first couple weeks when we're doing adjectives, the endings will match. So that's one way to give yourself a check, unless it's a pain word. As for right now, all of this is the endings are going to match unless it's a pain word. That's a good way to give yourself a double check for now. Okay, we'll introduce some words later that don't do that. But, okay, so temple. I also know that temple is neuter, and it's oblative, and it's singular. So temple, singular oblative, is templo. Now, big is magnus, magna, magnum. Go to the feminine, take off the ending. I've got magna, right? And big, I need neuter, singular, and it's magno. All right, let's take a look at the next one. Sacred flame. So I know that flame is feminine, and it's singular here. And I know that the stem is flam, And then flammam is the accusative singular feminine ending. And sacred. Here's another one. So let's take a look at this. This one that would be listed all three forms, not just us, Do you see why? Because this is very different than this. Pay attention. So take off the A, even though it's feminine. So it's S-A-C-R, and then we add the the accusative singular ending, which is sacram. Okay? All right. Next one, safe signs. So I know that sign is signum, so we have another neuter one, and it's plural, and I want the nominative form. I know that nominative ending of a neuter is signa. So signa. And so tus, So if you just see it listed like this without being written on the dictionary, what you know is that actually the stem you can actually pull right from the nominative. That would normally be, this is an understood T-U-T, T-U-T, okay? That's what it would be, that there'd be a T-U-T. There's nothing unusual about this one. So, tu-ta. Okay. All right. Last one. Let's look at many poets. So we right away know that this is a pain word. So mark it so that you know it's a pain word so it doesn't confuse you. So we know poets is actually masculine even though it has first declension endings on it, and we want accusative plural. So we don't do anything different to poet. We decline it exactly the way you always have. You don't put masculine second declension endings on it because it's a first declension noun. The only part that's a pain is the adjective. So we know it's poet is the stem, and as is the accusative plural ending. Now we look at multus, multa, or just the a. You might just see just the a in there. And multum. Okay? Still, go to the feminine, take off. Now we've got molt. But we look here and we know that we've marked it masculine plural, which means we have to go, and it's a pain word, we go to the second declension ending. So I want the second declension accusative plural ending. And if you look in your chart book, it's OS, not AS. So this is the only time so far in your Latin life where you won't see a match, and that is when it is a pain word. And that's all there is to adjectives. Now you just have to practice, practice, practice.